Arr. What's up, space fans? I'm just sitting here, campfire, Bradbury State Park. Got my stick. Just carved off all the bark on it. My Shannon's William Collins cocoa. Nice piece of white oak we found on our trek today. We're at Bradbury Mountain State Park, the neighboring town where Shannon grew up. Our Easter plans got canceled, so we decided to take advantage of the nice weather. And there's still snow here and there, but you know, it's just too nice of weather. We said let's do the first camp out. Let's do the first family camp out, you know. So the wife and kids gone to bed. I'm just enjoying my fire, thinking of my YouTube buddies, all the friends that I've met in the community, and my family and my friends here I enjoy the outdoors with. Some awesome memories, and it kind of made me want to share a couple of quick stories with you guys. I say quick, I have a tendency to ramble, as you guys know. But I wanted to share, I was just thinking of like the stick, you know, it was not deadfall, it was very, very green, but it was storm damage. We had, you know, fairly good winter this year, over 90 inches of snow, but we had a couple of ice storms that did a lot of tree damage, and you know, they had cleaned up a lot of the fallen stuff. We still got a lot of cleanup to do, but they cleaned up a lot of the fallen stuff, so there were piles of green trees, branches, and stuff all through the trail, and we just hiked through a couple of miles and picked this up. And it made me think of one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in nature. And you know, for any of you guys that have experienced ice storms, you know, you know how rare it is to get an ice storm where it's just rain and then it freezes. Normally it turns to snow or sleet and everything kind of gets, you know, frozen, and then you got the milky, icy snow. But I remember when I was younger, I was in high school age or so, we had an ice storm that was like perfect conditions, where everything was rock solid frozen, the ground, lakes, ponds, but we didn't have any snow yet. And it had been bitter cold, very little precipitation, but on this particular evening, the air temperature and the moisture coming up from the south was above freezing, but everything on the ground was frozen hard. So it rained and it rained and it rained, and the rain started sticking. But like I said, it was just rain. And then as soon as it stopped raining and that front moved out, an Arctic blast came down and just froze everything solid. But this wasn't like the clinging snow frozen that breaks branches and everything, or it wasn't even really thick. It wasn't even really thick ice, but it was like everything was covered in 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch of crystal clear ice. It was like someone took a magic wand and went whoosh, and just ping, and everything was frozen. Like, it wasn't weighing branches way down or bending trees over, because it wasn't that heavy, and it had no snow or sleet to it at all. And the next day, it was just like looking into a diamond prism. Everything was sparkling. It was a sunny, brilliant, freezing cold day. Everything was encased in ice. Every little facet, every little, you know, every car, every house, every deck, every porch, every ground, every blade of grass, rock, everything was just like someone coated everything with crystal. And the sun was brilliant and sparkling, and it was like everywhere you looked, you had to like put your sunglasses on. It was so sparkly. I'll never forget that. You know, I've spent 40 winters here in Maine, and you know, we have decent winters here, and I've never seen anything like it. It's so rare to get rain that just freezes like that. You know, like I'm thinking of like white birch trees that have a million little branches, you know, like young ones, and there were just like 1,000,000 crystal branches on every tree. Every pine needle on a pine tree that has 8 billion needles was covered with ice. It was crazy. Crystal, like covered in glass. Oh, so beautiful. It was like a sparkling ocean of jewels when you walked around and looked around. You know, I mean, I was young, so I think back and like I remember it vividly, but I didn't really appreciate it like I appreciate the outdoors now, and how rare of an opportunity that was to see something like that. So it's cool. Hopefully the lighting's not too terrible. But all right, one other story I wanted to share with you guys real quick, and it was one of the most amazing, beautiful things that I've ever seen. I'm going to stoke up the fire here real quick and resume the story. I'll get back on subject. I have a tendency to get off subject sometime when I'm wandering through the woods in my mind. Hold on. I gotta poke this with my stick. There we go. So, the moral of the story is there was a nest of red-tailed hawk right in the woods next to my house. And they actually had some babies. Okay, or a baby anyway. We thought there might have been 2, but we're not sure now. We think it might have only been 1. But in any case, when this guy first left the nest and they don't know how to fly, I think, you know, mom and dad like boot him out and say, you know, hey, good luck. He landed in the gully next to the house, and so I didn't see him leave the nest or whatever. I just saw this big bird, you know, because the thing is still big. It might be a baby, but it's big. I just see this what looked like injured bird in the woods, and so I'm like talking all soft to it, and I try to like help it because I'm thinking like, oh man, this bird is like broke its wing or something, because it was all wonky and it like didn't look like the wings weren't working, but it was because it didn't know how to fly. And in any case, I kind of like made a bond with this bird, because not only is he scared shitless because he's trying to fly it the first time, but there's some weird 2-legged creature trying to help him. But the family bonded with these, and I'll try and include maybe some pictures if I can dig them up. Shannon took all kinds of pictures, but these birds became our friends. They would land on our house, they'd land on our decks, they'd land on my kids' freaking tree fort. So in any case, one day I came home from work. It's late afternoon, you know, 4 o'clock. My driveway has a little dip, and then we turn up into the driveway, and right in front of me I got a couple oak trees, a couple beech trees, and like I immediately see the adolescent hawk on a branch maybe 15 feet above the ground, and he's looking down and he's like all stepping sideways and like spreading his wings, and like I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then I notice it's like a little groundhog, not a groundhog, a woodchuck on the edge of my pumpkin patch in between, you know, these trees. The vines had grown out of the patch all the way over to the trees, and he's just sitting there munching away, and like I see the hawk kind of like spread his wings and crouch down, and he dives. He goes right over the groundhog. Now this woodchuck was in no danger, because I mean this thing probably weighed 10 pounds. It's like way more animal than even a full-grown red-tailed hawk can take away. But when the baby hawk did this, the groundhog like actually reached up and like tried to swipe at him, and I said, holy crap. I put the thing in park real quiet, you know, I'm like, shh, turn off the engine, like I'm being quiet or something. And so he lands in the other branch, he turns around and he starts doing this thing again, he crouches down and he swings on by, and when he does, the groundhog tries to reach up and swat him again. And I said, oh my God. You know, this was before, like, this is 10 years ago, so I didn't have a cell phone with a camera. And I wish I could have gotten this on video, though, because it was so awesome. And then I watched this for like 5 minutes. He'd just go from one branch to the other, and every time he was like practicing dive bombing, like his hereditary instinct of like swooping down and getting an animal. But he had no chance of, you know, this groundhog probably weighed 5 times as much as he did. Though they were the same size. You know, birds are real light. I mean, a red-tailed hawk might go after a chicken, something that big, but it's, you know, squirrels, snakes, mice, small things. Like, this was like, you know, a groundhog, a woodchuck, rather. But it was just the most amazing things, and I realized that they were basically playing with one another. You know, Mr. Red-tailed Hawk, adolescent, puffing out his chest and practicing his diving technique, and the woodchuck is just like, oh, this is amusing. Oh, here he comes again. It was like he's almost trying to give him a high five. It was the most awesome thing I've ever seen. And the fact that it was happening right in my yard, and like I said, we had developed this relationship with these birds. I don't know, just awesome. Figured I'd share those couple little stories with you guys, and just thinking about you, thinking about awesome woodland memories. I don't know if I've ever shared either of those stories. I think I might have shared the groundhog one, the groundhog and the hawk one, on our campfire chat with the guys. Pennsylvania Shane, Stanley, Eric, other, you know, Bruce Nature Calls. Of course, the UK guys would come over, Scooty and Lord Michael McAllister. Oh, just all tons of people. But, you know, the campfire chat, Daryl and I started way back when. I might have to do a reunion tour sometime soon. That was a lot of fun. Chats are cool, you know. How often do you get to hang out with someone in Florida, in Pennsylvania, in Maine, in Michigan, in Illinois, and Washington State, and UK, and, you know, I mean, like Mark Scouting Free in Germany, or Mark the Dutch Knife Guy in the Netherlands, and there was a dude too that was really cool. I can't remember the name of his channel, but he was down in Brazil. He would pop in every once in a while. He was like a rocker, which was cool. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm just gonna sit here with this fire, poke it with my stick. I hope all you guys are enjoying your spring. It's really starting to kick in here in Maine. I mean, I'm seeing all these awesome pictures of like green and flowers blooming and everything. Maine is so far behind that right now. And you know, my buddies just north of me in Canada are feeling it too, because it's like, you watch these YouTube channels where, especially like over in the UK and whatnot, it's beautiful flowers are blooming everywhere. And my buddies, you know, the Parker Ridges, I mean, Jason is full-blown tilt, got plants sticking out of the ground a foot tall already. Been farming for, you know, and our ground just thawed. It's like, so crazy to think about it, how it's all the same time, but we're, as far as nature's concerned, you know, Stanley down there camping under the oaks, full trees. I mean, we're barely just getting buds on the trees. You know, I am just like tiger lilies. I mean, are just poked out of the ground this much. They're the earliest flower that you're gonna see. You know, or greenery poking up through the ground in the wild. And anyway, stay safe, peoples. Stay strange. Keep on rocking.